If you have been following NASCAR lately, you might have noticed something strange happening. It is not just one race, not just one driver. It feels like the entire NASCAR landscape might be shifting. Inside the garage, there is a growing sense of uncertainty. Teams are watching closely, fans are starting to ask questions, and big decisions may be coming sooner than anyone expected. Because right now, two major stories are unfolding in NASCAR. And the interesting part? Both of them connect back to one name that has defined this sport for nearly 2 decades: Kyle Busch. Before we dive into it, if you love real NASCAR conversations like this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. This channel is all about the biggest NASCAR stories, honest reactions, and everything happening in the sport every single week. We are also pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy NASCAR content, joining the community really helps. All right, let's talk about what is going on, because the first part of this story is honestly something many NASCAR fans never expected to see. We are talking about Kyle Busch, a 2-time Cup Series champion and one of the most successful drivers of the modern era. For years, Busch made winning look almost routine. Race after race, season after season, he was always somewhere near the front. But right now, something very unusual is happening. Kyle Busch is currently sitting on a 100-race winless streak. Let that sink in for a moment. For most drivers, that might not sound shocking, but for someone like Busch, a driver who built his legacy on constant victories, this is completely different. And the story becomes even more surprising when you look at how things started at his current team. After leaving Joe Gibbs Racing following the 2022 season, Busch joined Richard Childress Racing to drive the famous number 8 Chevrolet. At first, the move looked like the perfect reset. Early in the 2023 season, Busch won at Auto Club Speedway. Then he picked up another victory a few months later. Suddenly, the comeback story was real. Fans were talking about Kyle Busch being a championship contender again. But since that moment, everything stopped. No wins through the rest of 2023, nothing in 2024, nothing in 2025, and now, several races into the 2026 season, still no victories. That drought has now officially reached 100 races, the longest winless stretch of Busch's entire career. To understand how unusual that is, consider this. Before this run, the worst drought Busch had ever experienced was just 36 races. This is not just a slump. This is something completely different. And the numbers from this season tell the same story. Through the first 7 races of 2026, Busch sits 24th in the standings, and his best finish so far has only been 12th place. No top 8 finishes yet. That has never happened at this point in any of his previous 21 NASCAR seasons. Even during his toughest years, Busch was always fighting near the front, which is why the conversation around him right now is becoming more serious. Because this is not just about a losing streak anymore, it is about what happens next. Kyle Busch is currently in a contract year with Richard Childress Racing, and in May, he will turn 41 years old. Now, age alone is not necessarily the problem. NASCAR has seen many drivers stay competitive well into their 40s, but performance still matters. And in NASCAR, the sport moves fast. If results are not there, teams start looking toward the future. So the big question suddenly becomes, is Kyle Busch going to win again? Or could his 63 career Cup Series victories end up being the final number? And interestingly enough, we might get a clue very soon, because the next race takes place at one of Busch's best tracks, Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Bristol has always been a special place for Busch. He has won there 8 times on the concrete surface, If there is any track where he could suddenly turn this story around, it might be Bristol. But the pressure right now is enormous. And that brings us to the second part of this situation, the part that might shape the next chapter of Busch's career. If Kyle Busch does decide to leave Richard Childress Racing after 2026, where could he go? There are actually 5 possible paths people around NASCAR are talking about. The first option is simple: stay exactly where he is. Despite the struggles, there have been small flashes of speed at Richard Childress Racing. If the team can find more consistency, Busch might decide to stay and try again. Still, many believe that scenario is unlikely. The second possibility is a move to Spire Motorsports, and this option actually has some interesting connections. Busch previously sold Kyle Busch Motorsports to Spire, and he has already raced and won with them in the Truck Series. There is history there. There is familiarity. And with his son Brexton Busch rising through the racing ranks, this could even become a long-term family opportunity. The third option sounds wild, but NASCAR fans know that strange things sometimes happen. A return to Hendrick Motorsports. Yes, the same team owned by Rick Hendrick, where Busch began his Cup career more than 20 years ago. This scenario would likely depend on what happens with Alex Bowman in the No. 48 car. Bowman has struggled at times and has also dealt with injuries in recent seasons. If Hendrick ever decides to make a change, a veteran like Busch could become an interesting option. Unlikely? Maybe. Impossible? Not really. The fourth possibility involves Legacy Motor Club. The team led by Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty is expected to expand in the future. If that happens, Busch joining a team backed by Toyota again could suddenly become a realistic storyline. And finally, there is one last option: stepping away from the Cup Series entirely, not retiring from racing, but shifting focus to the Truck Series, where Busch has already been extremely successful. He has made it clear in the past that he still wants to win a Truck Series championship, and if he raced there full-time again, he would immediately become one of the favorites. But let's be honest, most NASCAR fans probably are not ready to see Kyle Busch leave the Cup Series just yet, because even now, it still feels like there might be one more chapter left in this story. Maybe the right team, maybe the right season, maybe the right moment. But until that happens, the question remains: are we watching the beginning of the end or the setup for one final comeback? Personally, I am not ready to count Kyle Busch out, but I will admit this situation definitely feels different. Now I want to hear what you think. Does Kyle Busch stay with Richard Childress Racing, move to Spire Motorsports, shock everyone with a return to Hendrick Motorsports? Or are we actually getting closer to the end of his Cup career? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy real NASCAR discussions like this, make sure you like the video and subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. We are chasing 1,000 subscribers and building a community of fans who live and breathe NASCAR every single week. And trust me, this season still has a lot of stories left to unfold.